right, good evening everyone. We are going to do a quick run through some price action, or what we can expect after we've been chopping around for a little bit here. I'm going to see if this is all coming through loud and clear. We can with the right title, and it looks like we're all systems go. Fantastic. All right, so I might jump relatively straight into it at the moment, and we will keep one eye on the chart at the end. But let's just start off on the chart of Bitcoin, where we're in this nice tightening pattern. And if we zoom right out on that weekly chart, or hey, even the monthly chart, it's just been absolutely parabolic. So we do need to be a little bit cautious and keep that in mind. You know, weekly RSI up at 88, that's about as high as it ever gets. So I think it hit 90, 89 back in 2017. So this is about as extended as it gets in terms of that relative strength, but that also means it's the strongest it's ever been. So, you know, he's going to flip at some point, but for now we can keep going higher. So one thing I do want to show you was this fib-based extension. And some of you will remember when we first pointed out this big triangle or pennant, and once we broke out and retested it, that was, you know, another sign to be bullish. But if we do our measured move and get that extension, you know, crazy that this is almost to the dollar here. So that isn't another, you know, just ticking the box to say, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is the top. It just means that there are a certain percentage of traders that will look at this, and that would have been their target, for example. So we look at all those different things. You know, a lot of traders will use the RSI. Some of them will like to use the Bollinger Bands. You know, we're outside the weekly Bollinger Bands. So for them, you know, we're extended. So we're just trying to build a picture of what different traders are looking at and thinking, always with different moving averages or techniques. You know, you can never have too many tools. In terms of what's happening at the moment, the daily chart, you know, this is all okay. It's pretty healthy. It's consolidation, forming a bit of a flag, hopefully. You know, nice, strong volume. We didn't get too big of a wick, but now we're consolidating at a really high point, and hopefully this is forming a bull flag. At the moment, this does have a profile of a bull flag. We get the nice, strong move up with the flagpole, then declining volume on the way down as it corrects. And that's all pretty good so far. What I will show you, you know, forget the clutter. As I said, this is something that we are playing around with. What I do want to show you though is the, which metric was it? When we're rolling over here, the on balance volume, this one's really important to keep an eye on. So on balance volume, let's have a look. Let's zoom right in here. And on balance volume is this one down the bottom. So when we peaked around here, this is around where our volume is on average. And again, don't worry too much about the wicks. It's more about the bodies of these candles. So although the price peaked here and then has been going down, the balance of volume has still been increasing. Now that's a really good sign. What you don't want to see is the opposite. So you don't want to see price going up, for example, at a time when, let's say, volume was up here and volume was dropping off. And so you're getting less and less people buying. And I'll actually show you a really good example of this for you to learn from. This is the S&P 500. This is the US stock market. So let's get rid of that. As you can see here, price going higher. Let's just get rid of that. But on balance volume has been trending lower. So that is not a healthy sign at all. It tells you that, you know, it's a lot of the stock market has become retail or whatever it is. It's not, you know, big, strong institutions charging in and buying up here. So that's another great example of divergence on that indicator. This thing that I'm playing around with of Troy's combines a lot of our favorites, so RSI, MACD, and then it flashes up these different signals to tell you when they are experiencing divergence, just like I described just then. When there's a lot of things rolling over at once, it starts to tell you that and gives you an idea for these, you know, buy or sell signals. And hey, that's a good example of that playing out there. What does it look like on Bitcoin at the moment? I still think that, look, the thing that's got me concerned is more the fundamentals, not so much the technicals. Technically this all looks okay still. Let's have a look at a few of these fundamentals. So the thing that I've been watching really closely, as you know, is PayPal volumes. I think this is just so important. We can learn a lot from this. So that's when it started. It had that huge surge to 80 odd million. The other day I was a bit worried when it dropped all the way down to 12 and 11, 2 days in a row. But then the next day, 50, 60, 110 million, and now it's cooled off again. But what it is becoming clear is that a lot of this is OTC money. Another good metric here from Angela, he's just tweeted this showing when the blockchain gets full, when Bitcoin gets congested, and you've got all these retail traders sending to exchanges, and that hasn't happened. The Bitcoin blockchain is nowhere near full at the moment. We also had this news that I spoke about earlier in the week saying that, hey, I expect the US to come out with these regulations, and we started to get a bit of an idea that it was going to be Mnuchin, and it was fairly well received by the market. It wasn't anything hugely new that we hadn't heard before. So at the moment, the market is digesting all that. I've heard that there's something else coming out again next week, but this all just seems so rushed, a little bit illogical. We'll see if the market wants to have a tantrum. I think it's a lot of other things that are going to more determine the top. But this is a great thread again from Kim Young Ju from Crypto Quant. So he's been talking about how we can look at those OTC volumes because they are harder to see on chain. So he's saying things like, look at the amount of Bitcoin transferred to Coinbase Pro wallets, and we know that they provide custody for a lot of different clients. We know Grayscale uses Genesis Trading to buy Bitcoins, and Genesis Trading use Coinbase OTC desk. So all this, we can start to look at that on-chain data, and we get a fair idea that a lot of what we see happening at the moment, a lot of this fund flow ratio tells us that there's a lot of funds flying around, but the number of transactions is actually quite low. So that means that the amount being transacted is quite big. They're OTCs. Rather than when we see a lot of little transactions, that means it's also going to congest the blockchain when there's a lot of little transactions. So that's kind of the puzzle that we've got in our head at the moment. I do just wonder if a few of those people are going to start to take a little bit more profits as we're right into the end of the year. We know that Bitcoin relies on constant buying pressure. As long as these OTC deals keep going, the bull's going to keep running. Fantastic. Hey, we'd all love that. But I also think that it's that time of year. It's Friday now. What are we into Saturday in Australia? Does OTC money, are banks even open on Saturdays and Sundays, Friday nights? That's the sort of things where I look and say, I just wonder if that constant demand that has been flowing in, if that is going to just change a little bit now, because it's actually quite hard for those OTCs to keep piling in all over weekends, but more so in the festive period over Christmas and New Year's when they're all on their private jets or on holidays or whatnot. Are they really going to be buying Bitcoin and moving a lot of money, moving clients' money over that time of year? Tends to be a very, very quiet time of year. So that's the kind of things that I'm just being a little bit cautious about. But what we might well see is a changing of the guard, a changing of the baton towards retail, and that might favour alts as well. So this next metric I've got on screen here is talking about the total exchange flows. Once again, we see that very, very, very low. And is this total inflow? Let's have a look at top 10. So this is what percentage are like the big boys, the whales. And again, that's really low. So sorry if you can't quite see that behind me. I can't make that smaller resolution. But this is right down the bottom near the screen. So this is telling us that the top 10 kind of exchanges or addresses, they're not really sending coins to exchanges at the moment. Was there one other one to show you? All exchange inflows. Let's just refresh that. Total amount of Bitcoins coming into exchanges. Zoom in on the recent data. Can you see that? Okay, so that's today's date. you can see that it's quite low. The highest we had was a few back in November. It is, okay, so it is creeping a little bit higher, the number of Bitcoins that are coming into exchanges compared to a few days ago. Okay, that has doubled. So, they're just the things to be cautious of in the short term. But if you paint that overall picture, I still think that there's just fairly thin order books. Look at the Binance order book. These are stacked in lots of 50, and there's only 100, 150 Bitcoins in each of those $50 increments. In terms of Ethereum, this is done $1 at a time, and there's only 500 to 1,000 in each of those increments. So there's not a lot of crypto on exchanges at the moment. Weighing exchanges down, constantly being replenished. We'd see those moving on the blockchain. So there's plenty to like about what we're seeing at the moment, and even more so probably for our friends the alts. I would love nothing more than finally to get our friend ETH BTC to put in this long-awaited bottom. I think this looks like a little bit of an Adam and Eve, where we get the big sharp down and then a nice rounded bottom, and we're about to curve up. This might look even better on a 30-minute chart. Yeah, sharp V, rounded bottom. If we start turning up on the ETH BTC ratio, very bullish for ETH. ETH was probably one that I was a bit worried about more so than Bitcoin. I thought the Secretary Mnuchin news might have favoured Bitcoin because it's regulatory certainty for the huge, big, smart money. So that's probably all I wanted to do today, guys. I didn't want to make this super long. I hope you're all having a great weekend, enjoying the bull market. Back in the day, the very early days of crypto, my absolute favourite times were the weekends, particularly Saturday nights, Sunday mornings, when the US is awake. Everyone around the globe is in crypto land, is up together and trading and buying, hopefully. It's just such an electric feeling. And I do hope that we can get there with our friends, the alts. Have you had friends asking you, how do I buy XRP? I've had that a lot. I think people are going to continue to do that. Log into the exchange, see a $23,000 Bitcoin, a $600 ETH, and then they see number 3 on the list. 58 cents. XRP, even lower. What's Tron? This is deliberately why I feel these coins come out with super, super high supplies so that their actual price is very, very low. And as much as you love to hate it, hey, it's just a fact of life. Well done anyone that got in on the graph. That was a 3-cent ICO. And it launched today at 30-something cents, 37 cents currently. That is one of my favorite projects from the Web3 narrative. We did cover that one in detail for members on the platform back in July, and we got a lot of very nice messages in the group today. So thank you all. I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I am going to talk to you tomorrow. It's been the biggest ever week in crypto. We've hit a record high. I've got to make a Sunday video, but I'm probably going to take next Sunday off. So take care, guys. Have a good night. I'll speak to you again soon. Cheers.